Okay, so we have created our artboard, and if you didn't see that, you want to watch the previous video to know how to do that. So we are now inside Photoshop, and I have closed everything except my toolbar that was docked over here on the side. I moved it off so I could float it around. And my layer palette. Now, one of the first things you want to know is if for some reason you lose everything, say you close all this, how do you get it back? Workspace, reset essentials. And essentials just is what Photoshop calls its workspace. Okay, so you go Window, Workspace, reset essentials. And you can use this, the window. The window talks about all these floating windows, all these floating palettes. So you can go to Window and turn on and off anything that you want. Now, layers off, layers on. And it put it right back where I left it, fortunately. Okay, so Window, Workspace, Essentials is the default, and you can reset it. Now, there are other forms that you can work with, but for this class, we're going to start and stay in Essentials. So you can reset it. Okay, and then we'll start getting into these as we go. Toolbar. Lots of tools. You are going to use this. So if you lose it, reset your essentials. I think it may let you, I don't know, oh, tool preset, tools. I think that's the one that turns it on. And yep, there you go. So if you lose just that and want that back, Window, Tools is your toolbar. Okay. So now I have my artboard, and it's calling it Artboard 1. And I should have given it a better name, but it still says test. All your artboards, you can open multiples. All your artboards are on tabs, and you can pull this off to float your document. I've been working that way for years. I don't like the tabs, but again, you have to figure out what works best for you and work that way. There are different ways to work, and the key is to figure out what way is most productive for you and work that way. Now, if I had multiple artboards, it would lay these out. We're not going to work with multiple artboards just yet. All right, so I want to talk about the interface in this video. I want to talk about how, we sort of did already, we talked about how we can control our different palettes through Window, and we can reset our workspace through Window. We talked about what this is and how to turn it on and off. Also at the top, you have File, Edit, Image, Layer, Type, Select, Filter, 3D, View, Window, and Help, right? So we're gonna go through these, not in this video, because I can only upload a 15-minute video at a time into YouTube. But we're gonna go through them and talk about them. And each one of those, and everything you do is going to have different parameters. And those parameters are going to show up on your toolbar up here that you can make adjustments to and refine how you work with each and every individual tool. So for instance, I'm on the Move tool. You see this is a completely different set of parameters on the ribbon than if I come to my eyedropper tool. It changes every time. So if you're looking for your settings, which I refer to as parameters, I just picked that up from 3D Studio Max, you can find them here. Zooming in and out has its own tool down here, the Zoom tool. It's one of the things most people want to know how to do. By default, it's Zoom in, so I can keep zooming in. You can change it up here on the ribbon. The icon next to it is Zoom out. And the nice thing about Photoshop is if you hold your cursor over, it will tell you what it does. So that zooms in, that zooms out. And so now I can zoom out, right? So it keeps letting me zoom out. Pan is right above zoom, and I can move that around. You also can work with your, on some mice, you can work with, mine's not working on this computer, you can work with the middle scroll button on your mouse to scroll in and scroll out. Mine just moves up and down. Every mouse does something different on every computer, so you just want to test it out to see what it does. Okay, so those are just sort of the main orientation tools. You also have View, and you have the same ability here, zoom in, zoom out. You can fit your document on the screen. You can set it to 100, 200, print size, so you have all those those options. Colors. You can work with, in Photoshop, 2 colors at one time. You have a foreground color and a background color, and that's it. You have to change those, and we'll get into color and we'll talk about how to do that. But this is just sort of the overview of the interface and that you will use with Photoshop. We have pull-down menus up here. We have a banner that changes our parameters here. We have Workspace here, toolbar, canvas, drawing, document, whatever you want to call this, and our artboard. And then we have the ability to work with floating windows, all these different windows. And I'm going to explain what these are. This is where I start. It's a cleaner, neater workspace. It allows me to really zoom in far if I want. Pull these further apart. Got my document. And then when you're ready to save, like most every software program, File, Save As. Let's talk about this. Okay, so you want to save stuff to your jump drive in folders. As I've mentioned in the last video, folders are important to organization. Organization is important to productivity and your sanity. Trust me, I've seen it. I worked at a company when I was young, and someone had saved documents, and they called them things like test, except they call it like floor plan. All right, floor plan for which project and which floor plan, because the building had 7 stories. But they would call it floor plan, and they would save it. And they would call it floor plan A, floor plan B, and they would save nothing but that. And they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of files on this hard drive on this computer, and I couldn't find anything. It was crazy. It's like to talk to me, and I can't make it stop. Okay. It was just crazy. So, set up your file organization. You can save by default .psd files, and you are sending me PSD files. And the reason you're sending me PSD files is so I can look at what you did to give you feedback on what you did, okay? If you send me a flat file, all this other stuff, I can't see what you did. I can't look at your layers, I can't look at your masks, I can't look at your process, and I can't give you effective feedback. So for all your assignments, you're sending me PSD files, which is the Photoshop default. However, you can save it in multiple different types of formats, and when you pull that down, you'll see what that is. Okay, and then you just save it. Make sure you know where you're saving it. Check out, it's telling you here where it's being saved. Make sure you go to your jump drive. I don't have one on this computer, but go to your jump drive, create a folder for this class, create a folder for the first assignment, start saving your work in folders, and then hit save, and it will save it for you. Okay, and we'll continue in the next video.